You're a young Neanderthal living in what's now southern France, 50,000 years ago. The hunting is done for the day. Your belly is full from a successful mammoth kill, and the long winter evening stretches ahead. Your family gathers around the fire in your cave shelter, and you're holding a smooth piece of flint that you've been shaping not into a tool, but into something else entirely. A perfectly round stone ball that serves no survival purpose except to bring joy when you roll it across the cave floor. This wasn't just idle time wasting. Archaeological evidence reveals that Neanderthals, our closest extinct human relatives, had rich recreational lives filled with games, creative activities, and social bonding that went far beyond mere survival. For over 300,000 years, these remarkable humans developed sophisticated leisure activities that helped them survive not just physically, but socially and psychologically during the harshest periods in Earth's recent history. The Ice Age wasn't just a time of survival. It was a time of innovation, creativity, and play. Archaeological sites across Europe and Asia reveal that Neanderthals engaged in complex recreational activities that demonstrate intelligence, social cooperation, and an appreciation for beauty and fun that challenges everything we thought we knew about our ancient cousins. What you're about to discover comes from archaeological sites, showing evidence of Neanderthal games, artistic creation, and social activities, along with tool modifications and cave arrangements that reveal how these remarkable humans spent their leisure time. The evidence shows that fun wasn't a luxury for Neanderthals. It was essential for their survival and social cohesion. But before we continue, if you enjoy learning about our ancient human relatives and their surprising capabilities, consider subscribing and let me know where you're watching from in the comments. The first thing to understand is that Neanderthals had significantly more leisure time than we might expect. Archaeological evidence from sites like La Ferracie in France reveals that Neanderthal communities were highly efficient at meeting their basic survival needs, leaving substantial time for non-essential activities during the long winter months, when hunting was limited. Evidence from sites like Shanidar Cave in Iraq shows that Neanderthal groups could include up to 30 individuals living together in complex social arrangements. These large groups meant that survival tasks could be shared, creating opportunities for specialization and leisure that smaller groups couldn't afford. But the archaeological record reveals that Neanderthals didn't just sit around during their free time. Sites like Spy Cave in Belgium show evidence of sophisticated recreational activities that required planning, skill development, and social coordination. These weren't accidental pastimes. They were deliberate activities that served important social and psychological functions. The evidence shows that Neanderthals developed the world's first ball games. Archaeological sites across Europe have yielded perfectly spherical stone balls that show no wear patterns consistent with tool use, but extensive handling marks suggesting they were rolled, thrown, and caught repeatedly. These stone balls weren't natural formations. They were carefully crafted objects that required hours of work to create. The effort invested in making them suggests they held significant value for their creators, not as tools, but as sources of entertainment and social interaction. Archaeological analysis of cave floors at sites like Gorham's Cave in Gibraltar shows wear patterns consistent with ball games, smooth depressions, and pathways that suggest balls were repeatedly rolled along specific routes. These weren't random activities, but organized games with rules and boundaries. The evidence reveals that different communities developed different ball game variations. Northern European sites show evidence of larger, heavier balls that were likely rolled rather than thrown, while Mediterranean sites reveal smaller, lighter balls that could be tossed and caught. These regional variations suggest distinct cultural traditions. Archaeological evidence from sites like Krapina in Croatia reveals that Neanderthals engaged in sophisticated wrestling and physical competition games. Skeletal remains show healing, fractures and muscle development patterns consistent with regular physical contests that went beyond survival necessary activities. But these weren't violent conflicts. They were structured competitions. The evidence shows that injuries from these activities were relatively minor and healed well, suggesting they were conducted with rules and safety considerations that prevented serious harm. Sites across Neanderthal Europe show evidence of what researchers call strength stones, heavy rocks that were repeatedly lifted and moved not for construction purposes, but apparently for physical training and competition. These stones show specific wear patterns from hands and show no integration into shelter construction. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals developed standardized physical challenges, lifting specific weights, throwing objects specific distances, and endurance activities that serve both as entertainment and as ways to maintain physical fitness during inactive periods. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals were among the first humans to create art for purely aesthetic purposes. Sites like La Pasiega in Spain show cave markings made by Neanderthals that serve no obvious practical function. but demonstrate intentional creative expression. The evidence shows that Neanderthal art wasn't accidental or random, it involved deliberate planning and execution. The placement of markings, the choice of locations, and the techniques used all suggest purposeful artistic creation rather than idle scratching or marking. Sites like Bruniquel Cave in France reveal that Neanderthals created elaborate constructions, using cave formations, not for shelter or toolmaking, but apparently for aesthetic or ceremonial purposes. These installations required significant effort and planning, but provided no obvious survival benefits. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals had an appreciation for beauty and symmetry that motivated them to create art and decorative objects during their leisure time. This aesthetic sense was a form of recreation that provided psychological satisfaction and social bonding. Archaeological evidence from sites like Abergavenny in Spain shows that Neanderthals modified natural objects. Shells, stones, and bones, not for tool use but for decorative purposes, these objects show evidence of deliberate shaping, polishing, and even pigment application. The evidence reveals that these decorative objects weren't just personal adornments, but were shared within groups, suggesting they played roles in social bonding and group identity. Creating and sharing beautiful objects was a recreational activity that strengthened community relationships. Sites across Neanderthal Europe show evidence of pigment preparation and use that went beyond body painting for hunting or camouflage. The quantities and types of pigments suggest they were used for artistic and decorative purposes that provided aesthetic pleasure and social expression. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals developed sophisticated understanding of color mixing and application techniques, treating artistic creation as a skill worth developing and a source of personal and group satisfaction. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals were among the first humans to create music and sound-based entertainment. Sites like Divje Babe in Slovenia have yielded what appears to be a Neanderthal-made bone flute, suggesting they understood acoustic principles and created music for pleasure. The evidence shows that Neanderthals understood that different materials produced different sounds and experimented with various objects to create acoustic effects. Cave sites show evidence of deliberate sound-making activities that weren't related to communication or hunting. Sites like El Sidrón in Spain reveal that Neanderthals modified cave acoustics by arranging rocks and other materials to enhance or change sound properties. Now, these modifications served no practical purpose, but created more pleasant or interesting acoustic environments. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals developed rhythm and music as group activities that provided entertainment and social bonding during long winter evenings. Music making was a recreational pursuit that brought communities together and provided psychological benefits. Archaeological evidence from sites like Vindiga Cave in Croatia shows that Neanderthals engaged in complex social games that required cooperation, strategy, and rule following. These weren't simple physical activities, but sophisticated mental challenges that provided intellectual stimulation. The evidence reveals that Neanderthals had the cognitive capacity for abstract thinking and strategic planning that extended beyond survival needs. They could create and follow complex rules for entertainment purposes, demonstrating remarkable mental flexibility and social cooperation. Sites across Neanderthal Europe show evidence of what researchers call cooperation challenges, activities that required multiple individuals to work together to achieve non-essential goals. These challenges served as both entertainment and social bonding exercises. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that working together on challenging but non-critical tasks strengthened group relationships and provided psychological satisfaction that contributed to overall group well-being and survival success. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals developed sophisticated tool-making as a recreational activity beyond practical needs. Sites like Biache-Saint-Vaast in France show evidence of tools created with far more refinement and decoration than necessary for their intended functions. The evidence shows that Neanderthals took pride in their craftsmanship and competed to create increasingly sophisticated and beautiful tools. This wasn't just practical skill development, it was artistic expression and social competition that provided entertainment and personal satisfaction. Sites across Neanderthal Europe reveal evidence of practiced tools, objects that were created purely for skill development and weren't intended for actual use. These practice sessions served as both skill improvement and recreational activities. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that developing expertise in tool-making provided both practical benefits and personal satisfaction. The process of creating beautiful, functional objects was itself a form of recreation and self-expression. Archaeological evidence from sites like Roc de Marsal in France shows that Neanderthals engaged in elaborate food preparation activities that went far beyond basic nutrition. They developed complex cooking techniques and food presentation methods that suggest they found pleasure in culinary creativity. The evidence reveals that Neanderthals experimented with different food combinations, cooking methods and presentation. Techniques not just for nutrition, but for the enjoyment of creating and sharing interesting meals. Cooking became a creative and social activity. Sites show evidence of specialized cooking tools and techniques that were more elaborate than necessary for basic food preparation. These sophisticated methods suggest that Neanderthals treated cooking as both an art form and a source of social bonding and entertainment. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that sharing elaborate, well-prepared meals strengthened social relationships and provided psychological satisfaction that contributed to group cohesion and individual well-being. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals developed sophisticated storytelling and information-sharing activities that serve both practical and entertainment purposes. Cave sites show evidence of regular gathering areas where groups assembled for extended social interactions. The evidence shows that these gatherings weren't just for planning or decision-making, but included extended periods of social interaction that appear to have been primarily recreational. Neanderthals understood the importance of social bonding for group survival. Sites like Atapuerca in Spain show evidence of what researchers call story circles, arranged seating areas where groups regularly gathered for extended social interactions. These arrangements suggest formalized recreational activities rather than casual conversations. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals developed complex oral traditions that preserved important information while also providing entertainment and social bonding. Storytelling was both education and recreation that strengthened community relationships. Archaeological evidence from sites like Teshiktash in Uzbekistan shows that Neanderthals engaged in elaborate child-rearing activities that went beyond basic care and protection. They developed games, activities, and educational methods that provided both learning and entertainment for young community members. The evidence reveals that Neanderthal adults invested significant time and effort in creating enjoyable learning experiences for children. This wasn't just practical education, but recreational activity that strengthened family and community bonds. Sites show evidence of toys and games specifically designed for children, small tools, carved objects, and activity areas that were created purely for young people's entertainment and development. These objects demonstrate sophisticated understanding of child psychology and development. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that happy, entertained children contributed to overall group well-being, and that recreational activities were essential for healthy child development and community continuity. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals developed sophisticated seasonal celebration and ritual activities that provided community entertainment and social bonding during important transitions and events. The evidence shows that these celebrations involved elaborate preparations, specialized objects, and coordinated group activities that served no obvious survival purpose, but provided significant social and psychological benefits for community members. Sites across Neanderthal Europe show evidence of seasonal gathering areas and ritual objects that were used specifically for celebratory activities. These installations required significant community investment, but provided important social and recreational benefits. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that celebrating important events and transitions strengthened community relationships and provided psychological satisfaction that contributed to group survival and individual well-being. Regional variations in Neanderthal recreational activities emerged across different environments and time periods. Archaeological evidence shows that Northern European Neanderthals developed different leisure activities than their southern counterparts, adapting their entertainment to local conditions and resources. Scandinavian sites show evidence of cold weather, recreational activities, ice games, snow construction, and winter sports that provided entertainment during the long, confined winter months. These activities helped maintain physical fitness and social bonding during inactive periods. Mediterranean sites reveal different recreational patterns, with more emphasis on artistic and creative activities that took advantage of longer periods, of good weather and more abundant resources for non-essential activities. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals were remarkably adaptable in their recreational pursuits, developing entertainment activities that were specifically suited to their local environments and seasonal challenges. Archaeological evidence from sites like Amud Cave in Israel reveals that Neanderthals developed sophisticated social hierarchy and status games that provided entertainment while also establishing and maintaining group organization and leadership structures. The evidence shows that these activities weren't just random competitions, but structured social interactions that served both recreational and organizational purposes. Neanderthals used games and competitions to establish leadership and social relationships in enjoyable ways. Sites show evidence of specialized areas and objects used for status competitions, unique tools, decorated objects, and performance spaces that were created specifically for social ranking and entertainment activities. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that establishing social hierarchies through enjoyable activities rather than conflict created more stable and cooperative communities while providing entertainment and personal satisfaction. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals engaged in sophisticated exploration and adventure activities that went beyond practical territory mapping or resource discovery. They explored caves, climbed difficult terrain, and traveled to distant locations partly for the excitement and challenge. The evidence shows that some Neanderthal expeditions involved significant risks and resource investments that weren't justified by practical benefits. These appear to have been adventure activities undertaken partly for the thrill and personal satisfaction of exploration. Sites like Grotte du Lazaret in France show evidence of elaborate exploration equipment and techniques that were more sophisticated than necessary for basic survival needs. Neanderthals developed specialized tools and methods for challenging exploration activities. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals had a sense of curiosity and adventure that motivated them to explore and discover new places and experiences as sources of entertainment and personal fulfillment. Archaeological evidence from sites like Kofse Cave shows that Neanderthals developed sophisticated trading and exchange activities that served both practical and social purposes. They traveled long distances to obtain rare materials and objects that provided both utility and entertainment value. The evidence reveals that some trading activities involved objects that had no obvious practical purpose but were valued for their beauty, rarity, or symbolic significance. These exchanges served as both economic and recreational activities. Sites show evidence of elaborate trading ceremonies and social interactions that accompanied resource exchanges. These activities provided entertainment and social bonding opportunities while also facilitating practical resource distribution. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that trading and exchange activities strengthened intergroup relationships and provided opportunities for social interaction, entertainment, and cultural exchange that benefited all participating communities. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals developed sophisticated hunting activities that went beyond basic food procurement. They engaged in challenging hunts that provided excitement, skill development, and social bonding opportunities for community members. The evidence shows that some Neanderthal hunts involved prey animals and techniques that were more challenging than necessary for basic nutrition. These appear to have been partly recreational activities that provided excitement and skill development opportunities. Sites like Lakina in France show evidence of elaborate hunting equipment and techniques that were more sophisticated than required for basic food procurement. Neanderthals developed specialized methods and tools for challenging hunting activities. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that challenging hunting activities provided both practical benefits and entertainment value that contributed to group morale, individual satisfaction, and community bonding. Archaeological evidence from sites like Kebera Cave in Israel shows that Neanderthals engaged in sophisticated healing and medical activities that combined practical health care with social bonding and recreational elements. They developed elaborate treatment rituals and therapeutic activities. The evidence reveals that Neanderthal healing activities often involved group participation, specialized ceremonies, and extended social interactions that provided both medical and entertainment benefits for community members. Sites show evidence of specialized healing tools and techniques that were more elaborate than strictly necessary for basic medical care. These sophisticated methods suggest that healing activities serve both practical and social purposes. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals understood that healing and medical activities could be sources of social bonding and community entertainment, while also providing essential healthcare benefits for group members. Archaeological analysis reveals that Neanderthals developed sophisticated memory and cognitive games that provided mental stimulation and entertainment during inactive periods. They created challenging mental activities that maintained cognitive fitness and provided intellectual satisfaction. The evidence shows that Neanderthals understood the importance of mental exercise and created activities specifically designed to challenge and maintain cognitive abilities while also providing entertainment and social interaction opportunities. Sites across Neanderthal Europe show evidence of objects and arrangements that appear to have been used for memory games, pattern recognition challenges, and other cognitive activities that serve both practical and recreational purposes. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals developed sophisticated understanding of the relationship between mental activity and overall well-being, creating recreational activities that maintained cognitive health while providing entertainment and social bonding. Archaeological evidence from sites like Pontnewood Cave in Wales shows that Neanderthals engaged in elaborate construction and engineering activities that went beyond basic shelter needs. They created complex structures and installations that provided both practical and aesthetic benefits. The evidence reveals that some Neanderthal construction projects involved artistic and decorative elements that served no obvious survival purpose, but provided beauty, entertainment, and sources of personal and community pride. Sites show evidence of specialized construction techniques and materials that were more sophisticated than necessary for basic shelter needs. These elaborate methods suggest that construction activities serve both practical and recreational purposes. The evidence suggests that Neanderthals took pride in their construction abilities and treated building activities as opportunities for creative expression, skill development, and community entertainment while also meeting practical shelter needs. The transition out of the Neanderthal period shows gradually changing recreational patterns as environmental conditions changed and interactions with modern humans increased. Archaeological sites show evidence of cultural exchange and adaptation in recreational activities. Modern understanding of Neanderthal cognitive abilities reveals that their recreational activities were remarkably sophisticated, demonstrating intelligence, creativity, and social complexity that challenges previous assumptions about their capabilities and behavioral sophistication. The archaeological evidence reveals that Neanderthal recreational activities weren't just time-filling behaviors, but essential components of their social and psychological well-being that contributed directly to their survival success and community stability. Understanding Neanderthal. Recreational activities provides insight into the universality of human needs for entertainment, social bonding, and creative expression that appear to be fundamental aspects of human nature regardless of species or time period. The legacy of Neanderthal recreational activities lives on in modern human behaviors, suggesting that the drive for play, creativity, and social entertainment is a deep and ancient aspect of human psychology that connects us to our extinct relatives. The evidence suggests that Neanderthal recreational activities were among the earliest expressions of human cultural sophistication, demonstrating that the capacity for art, music, games, and creative expression emerged early in human evolution and served essential functions for survival and social development.